Anna was written and directed by Luc Besson, who wrote and directed The Professional, directed The Big Blue, La Femme Nikita, Lucy, that weird one about Scarlett Johansson, who was a badass trying to unlock all the potential of her brain, usage of her brain, 100% use of her brain, and it was weird. But Luc Besson made it work because he knows how to do action scenes and knows how to do fight scenes and a whole bunch of, whole bunch of like weird concept stuff. He usually can handle that well. He also directed Messenger, the story of Joan of Arc, not necessarily great. Had Mila Jovovich and a great cast in it. Unfortunately, wasn't all that great of a movie, but every director has a misstep. He's directed a bunch of other stuff, and including two sci-fi movies I particularly enjoyed. Valerian, City of a Thousand Planets, a visual treat. You can just, your eyes will almost be full from how visually impressive and deep and rich the visuals are in that movie. Even if the story's basic, it's still a whole lot of fun. It's unfortunate it didn't do better at the box office, as I was looking forward to seeing what else, they could do with the series, since it's based on some popular comic books or graphic novels from France, and also The Fifth Element, one of my favorite movies of all time. Not just sci-fi, but one of my favorite movies. And that launched a career with Mila Jovovich. And in Anna, you have Sasha Luss, who was in Valerian City of a Thousand Planets. She was one of the alien creatures, so you wouldn't necessarily recognize her. So this is her first feature role. And she plays a young woman named Anna who is trying to basically make the best of her life, because after being on the streets and slumming it and being in abusive relationships and growing up badly and seemingly having a life that's going nowhere, she gets the opportunity to join the KGB, which, the Russian CIA or whatever, the Russian Secret Service, and is basically an assassin, is an agent for them. And Helen Mirren is one of the high-ranking officials. Helen Mirren has been in a lot of, I don't want to say lowbrow stuff, but stuff that's kind of, maybe below how great of an actress she is. This is above Winchester, I will say that. Because you see, her in that, and you're thinking, okay, what the hell? But she didn't downplay it, and I'll give her credit for that. She played this role really, really well. She was the grizzled veteran of the KGB that sees Anna and, sees potential in her, but really, really wants to test her. And also there's Luke Evans, who plays another high-ranking official in the KGB. And he was in Dracula Untold. He was Gaston, the Beauty and the Beast, live action remake. And then also you have Cillian Murphy, who's a CIA, the head of CIA or high-ranking CIA official. Nothing really gets explained beyond a surface level, even though the story has a lot of twists and turns and everything is like a rubber band ball, and I don't know what I'm doing with my hands here. But it's a story that is told first in 1985, where an operation goes dark and everything, everybody's cover is blown. And then we skip ahead to 1990. So this is set where technology really was starting to take over, but people that had cell phones, they had those brick, Nokia-like cell phones or whatever, that the battery life is great and you could basically kill somebody with them if you just even sort of toss it at him, or you could hit him over the head. It was actually great. It wasn't like Paul Heyman, and if you're a wrestling fan, you know what I'm talking about, that jackhammer brick of a cell phone. But they were pretty thick cell phones. So this was back when technology was really on the cusp of exploding and everything, and only the best of the best had this great technology. And I'm going over a lot of these details and everything because really the story is about that thin. And it bounces back a whole lot, because what it does is it tells the story, the overarching story of Anna, her past, how she grew up, how she became a KGB agent, and what she wants to do to hopefully maybe get a better life outside of that. The operations she goes through, the struggles she goes through as a human being. She sees it as a way to get out of the slum life that she has. But unfortunately, it all comes with a price. And that's kind of where, I like how Luc Besson kind of, dove into that, because he dove into some good characters here. Now, granted, story, you can only do espionage stories and all that so much before everything's kind of repetitive. And there were a few times where things repeated a whole lot. First, it would, be 5 years. It was 1985, and then it would skip to 1990. And then it would skip back 3 years before to kind of set some more stuff. And then it would skip back 3 years, to 1990. So it would keep going from the past, present day, and everything. And then it would go 3 months earlier, 3 weeks earlier. It would do a whole lot of that. So that is one thing. And I'm not spoiling anything right now. I'll spoil stuff here in a little bit. But that is one thing that you may notice about this, is it does jump around a whole bunch. And Luc Besson makes it work, and he makes it work with some really, really good fight scenes. If you've seen the trailer, there's this particularly great sequence, this great goddamn gory sequence in in a restaurant that is just absolutely incredible. And a lot of times with a brand new actress, or at least like brand new to a lead role, you get a 50-50 chance of hitting a home run or it being absolute shit. And I know Mila Jovovich had been in movies before, but The Fifth Element was like her breakout role, and that was like something that I think Luc Besson deserves some credit for, and I think they were dating also at the time. So Mila Jovovich had a really, really good breakout role there, and now 22 years later, Sasha Lust did pretty damn well here. Now, I'm not going to say her character was super deep, and yeah, maybe a lot of it was just window dressing, and she can only get better and everything. But for her first outing as a lead actress, I thought she did pretty well. Now, I'm not saying she was great. I'm not saying she's going to be like the next big star. I think she is a star in the making. She's got the look. She's got these piercing eyes, these beautiful eyes, and she can emote pretty well. It doesn't really seem fake. It does seem like she's, a lot of it seems genuine. And then you get the usual, like, you'll get the usual other hookups and the screw overs and the double crosses that you get in, spy espionage movies and stuff like that. This isn't as deep as The Professional. The Professional was much more tightly controlled. You had Gary Oldman, almost like Gary Coleman. Gary Coleman in that movie would have been interesting, him yelling that line that Gary Oldman did. But also you had Natalie Portman back, in her younger days. Not that she's old, but I'm just saying when she was a kid. And you also had Jean Reno. And you had other actors in there also. But that was a more tightly controlled, espionage, type, I mean, granted, it was a sniper thing, but still, Hitman, you get my point. It was more like tightly controlled. This was a bit broader scope between the KGB, the CIA, and Anna caught in the middle and everything. And I thought overall it handled it pretty well. Again, the whole tossing back and forth between, time frames got it didn't get jarring because I could follow the shit just fine, but they would basically do that as a way to show, oh, hey, how do we get to this point? Let's go back a few months and let's see this set up really, really quickly, and then we go right back to present day. To me, they did a little too much, and that was a bit of a down point. It was creative, but you can only do that so much before it starts to get a little bit crazy and a little bit like, okay, now you're just doing it as a gimmick. Now you're just doing it to fill time. The movie is pretty long. It's about 2 hours, and in a good way. Nothing really drags, but if they had cut down some of those flashbacks and some of those, recaps, whatever, just to show, hey, this is how we set all this up, it's kind of like a magician showing their trick. And it's like, okay, well, now we know you're going to do it again. And they kept doing it and doing it. And it still worked well because of the cast. The cast worked well. There was a girl, a short-haired girl. I do not remember the cast name or the full cast, but she was pretty good in it. There was this point where Anna becomes a model at this French modeling agency and forms a relationship with this girl. And that was apparently her first role. And she actually did pretty good as well. So there was a nice, well-rounded cast in this. Gonna get into spoilers very, very briefly here. So about 8.5 minutes in. So if you're still watching, 3, 2, 1, and go. A lot of double crossing and everything, like I said. Helen Mirren brings her in. It turns out that like Anna just wants to get the hell away from the KGB and just live a quiet life and everything. She forms a relationship with Luke Evans' character, who's that high-ranking KGB agent, but also once an operation goes south, she also forms a relationship with Cillian Murphy, who was a CIA operative, and he was in Sunshine, 28 Days Later, Batman Begins. He was a Scarecrow, and that kind of stuff. And actually, he's also a really good actor. He was also in Red Eye, which was really, really fun. And there's relationships there, and then there's a lesbian relationship that she has going, and you have to wonder which relationship is real, and it seems like the one that she has with the girl, the other model, seems to be the most genuine one. And yeah, you get your normal twists and turns and stuff like that, and it almost seems like the movie's trying to be smarter for its own, for its own good, or too smart for its own good. It still worked really, really well, and that freaking restaurant sequence that I absolutely love. There were some cool chase scenes as well. There was a chase scene told in Anna's past where her boyfriend at the time and some thug friends of his tried to rob somebody, and then there was this great chase scene through parts of Russia. That was really, really cool. I like that. And, again, Luc Besson really knows how to do his action scenes well, chase scenes and fight scenes. And then you get to that first operation where it's in that restaurant, and Anna does this great, it's just badass stuff, and She did the stunt work really. Obviously, there were stunt people in there too, but she performed really goddamn well there. And my only issue with that is there were supposed to be just a few security guards or a few bodyguards and everything, and everybody just kept running out. It was like they were being endlessly spawned, like in a Gauntlet game or something like that. And if you know what I'm talking about, like Gauntlet Dark Legacy, it just keeps spawning enemies until you like close this enemy gate. It was just really, really bizarre, but it was fun. And she would use inventive stuff like this gun that was empty. She'd stab people with the parts of the gun. She'd use plates. She'd kill the target with a fork. She did a whole bunch of stuff. It was really, really cool and a really, really great sequence. And it didn't last so long that you're like, okay, now it's exhausting. The movie did blow its load for a while and kind of had to, rest and everything and then get back up for more action sequences. And overall, they really, really worked. Now, again, the movie's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. Everything does work out and it does do the whole, oh, she's leaving the KGB, joining the CIA, but then she's going to try to screw both over. But then she has information on both of them and she meets them in a park and says, oh, hey, here, have this. You can have this information that I took from you or whatever, but you don't know if I made copies or not. And it was what it was. And then Helen Mirren's character kills her, but doesn't really kill her. Because then we get told in another flashback that's like, wait, no, Anna, you can be free. You just got to kill the leader of the KGB. That's all you got to do and survive that. Just simple. Easy to do. But again, the cast does work out pretty well. So everything gets wrapped up in a nice, neat little bow. And everything seems to kind of imply that, maybe we might get a sequel, which I wouldn't mind seeing. We could see Anna 2 Electric Boogaloo or Anna 2 The Revenge. But it'd be very interesting to see that. Or Anna 2 Attack of the Clones, which, they used a body double stuff at one, or, spy double at one point, which was kind of unique. But everybody played their roles pretty damn well. Nothing was, again, too deep. Movie did try to be a little too smart for its own good, but it was quite a bit of fun. And the action was really, really enjoyable. That restaurant scene, chase scenes, everything was a whole lot of fun. So I'm going to say between a B and B+, I'm going to say a B, because the jumping around did kind of dog it a little bit. Dog it down just a little bit. I would have given it a B+ if they had done that just a little less. But Luc Besson, had it not been for Luc Besson, he saved this movie. This movie would have been a D had it not been for Luc Besson. Because then it just would have been a bunch of noise. It would have been stylish. It wouldn't have had the great music by Eric Serra, who did the music for The Fifth Element. And who has just done great music otherwise. Fifth Element, one of my favorite soundtracks of all time. The soundtrack in this movie was phenomenal. So it was quite good. So between a B and a B+, but I'm going to go with a B. It was really, really fun, but some issues, but you're going to get that with just about any movie. So anyway, B+ or B and a B+ for the fun. Pull up there. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I will be back with more movie reviews very soon.